knowing what I do for a living, sometimes people will ask me for some tips and advice on what they could do to get to the next steps in their lives, or whether, what they could do to change their profession, to start a business or whatever, knowing that that's what I did, some more than 15 years ago. And one of the things that I always tell them is I think it's really, really important to know, the steps that you need to take, the things that you need to do, the capabilities that you're going to need to have or to acquire in order to be able to get to where you want to get to. It's also important to have clarity on what you want. And it's also important to know the things that you need to avoid so that you can make sure that you stay on track. And so, starting with the clarity issue, one of the things that I ask people a lot is, what do you want? And very oftentimes people aren't able to tell me, give me an answer. Or they'll give me an answer like this. They tell me they're not satisfied with what they're doing right now, with the job that they have, with the quality of life or whatever it is. And then when I ask them what it is they want, very oftentimes people will say, Tony, I this is where I grew up. This is what I know how to do. I've been doing this for years. This is how much money I have set aside. And so, I don't know, I could probably do something like that. And I'm like, my first reaction is, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, what do you really and truly want? And that's where I get to the first of these 10 things that I want to tell you about, because I think it's important to know the things that you need to avoid, or the things that hold people back from achieving their goals, or from getting further along in life. And, I like to just pause for a second and talk about this concept of success. I'm not here to tell you, this isn't something about how you can change from doing what you're doing now to get rich. Or this isn't talking about becoming rich and famous. This is not what this is about. Success, I believe, is whatever you want it to be. So if you're a street sweeper right now and your desire is to work in a restaurant and wash dishes, and if that's what you want to do, and if that's what's going to make you happy, then who would I be to tell you that you shouldn't do that? That's success for you. If you're able to achieve that goal, that's success for me. So, I just wanted to stop for a minute and define what my definition of success is, which I believe should be success for everybody. Society has its definition of success, which sometimes does mean being rich and famous and making a whole lot of money and everything. But, for the average person, that's not what success is, So anyway, just wanted to define that for a second. So, the first thing that holds people back is the belief that it's even possible for you to have the kind of life that you want. Sometimes people don't even believe that. There's a lot of people out there that don't believe that. There's a lot of people out here who get up in the morning and they're just going through the motions, and they're living a life that somebody else thinks that they should be living, or they think they should just be happy to have a job, or that they should be happy to be working in a company like that. Or, people at home will tell you, you need to stay there because you have responsibilities, and, which is all true. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to limit yourself, especially when we're just thinking about what do you really, really want? And so that's the first thing, is that a lot of people don't even believe it's possible. And I love this saying, and if you've been around any courses, personal development courses or any kind of courses that help you to grow personally, you've probably heard this saying before. I think it's by Henry Ford or Confucius, that whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, either way, you're going to be right. Because if you believe you can, you're going to do whatever you have to do to try to make something happen in that direction. If you don't believe it's possible, you're probably not going to do anything, which probably will mean that for you, it probably will never be possible. So that's the first thing, is belief. Another thing that holds people back sometimes is the clarity. A lot of times people are not clear enough on what it is they want. It's just like, if you take somebody says, I'm going to lose weight. Well, how much do you want to lose? I don't know, just a couple pounds. Yeah, but 10, 15, 20 pounds, I don't know. So can we be more specific, Because there's something to the fact that a lot of people don't achieve their goals because they're not specific enough, because they're too vague. And I always encourage people, and that's what I do in my Courage to Change program, I encourage people to be as specific as possible, step by step, try to look at all the intricate details about what it is your future is going to look like. because only when you have that clarity can you really put together a solid plan that's going to help you to get there. If you don't know where you're going, then just like I heard this parable, and there was a man who was walking in the forest and he got lost. So he walks and comes across this old wise man with a beard, and he's sitting there, and he asks the wise man. He comes, and the wise man's sitting at a fork in the road, and he asks the wise man. He says, "Which direction? I'm trying to get out of here. Which direction should I take?" He said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "I don't know. I just need to get out of here." He said, "Well, then either one of those directions will be fine." Because if you don't know where you're going, you're just going to go off in any direction. You're going to get somewhere, but you don't know where it is yet. Try to clarify your ideas first about where it is you want to go in as small as detail as possible, and that will increase your possibility of putting together a plan that will help you to get it. Does that make sense? Good. The third thing that I see people do too often, and I'll be honest, I have been a victim of this myself in the past. Sometimes it runs through my mind. I'm not going to lie. But I've gotten over that. And that is worrying too much about what other people think, whether somebody is going to like your idea, about your image, about if you put this out, what people are going to think. It really that's one of the biggest things that holds people back. Why worry about other people? First of all, my experience tells me is you can't please everyone. Try to please yourself first. Do what makes you happy first. Yes, it's important that if you're starting up a business or if you're selling a product, you need to make sure that there's a market for your product and that people are going to like it. But when you're starting out and you're putting your idea on paper, and sometimes, and I'll tell you this from firsthand experience. When I wrote my first book, The Courage to Change, I was terrified of what people might think. I was terrified of what my ex-colleagues might think of me writing a book like that, about teaching people how to change and what they might think of me, And it was like, after a while, I was like, just get over it, Tone. Get over it. Just put the damn thing out there. I think about this. The President of the United States, and I'm not talking about the current president, I'm not going into the political sphere, but just think about this concept. There are polls that are done occasionally to evaluate the president's approval rating. And if the president has an approval rating of 60, 65%, that means he's doing pretty good. But just think for a moment what the other side to that is. That means that there's 30 or 35 or 40% of the people of the population who doesn't agree or isn't in perfect agreement with the job that he's doing. And that's a lot of people. You can't please everyone, nor should you try to please everyone. You're never going to be able to please everyone. I always use these examples too. I used to work for Nike. Nike's the leader in the sports and fitness industry, but not everybody wants Nike shoes. But it's still the leader. It's still the best, or one of the best. McDonald's. Not everybody wants to eat at McDonald's. McDonald's food isn't good for everybody. But it's still one of the leading food franchises in the world. Coca-Cola. Not everybody wants to drink Coke, but it's still one of the best soft drink companies in the world. You see what I'm saying? You can't please everybody. If they worried about that, they wouldn't be in business today, because there's a lot of people that don't like them. So you can't worry about that. Why worry about people when you don't even know? Sometimes I like to act crazy and act a fool and clown around a little bit. I remember when some years ago when I was out with my son or with my wife, and I would be out in public, acting a fool, acting crazy, not doing really weird stuff, but sometimes I'd be just tripping out and just playing around and stuff, and they would be like, stop, people are watching you. I was like, I don't even know these people. You know what I mean? I'll probably never see these people again in my life. Why should I worry about what they think? You know what I mean? Why should I worry? I don't care. I'm not doing anything to harm them. I'm not doing anything derogatory. I'm just having fun. Let me have some fun, please. Thank you. You know what I mean? And so don't worry. Here's another thing I thought was really, really kind of interesting. I used to study acting. I think if you've been following me for any time now, you know that. I went to New York, I studied acting, and one of the things that I did while I was studying is I used to go to forums with casting directors and agents, or seminars with casting directors and agents, as well as my acting training, in addition to my acting training. And I remember I went to a seminar, it was on a Saturday, all-day seminar with a casting director of The Guiding Light. I don't even know if The Guiding Light is still on anymore. Do you remember The Guiding Light from back in the day? And he was the casting director for The Guiding Light. And he had an all-day seminar. I went to that seminar. And I remember there was a woman or a young lady who raised her hand and asked him a question. She said, I heard that new actors should try to avoid taking or doing extra work. And he said, oh, really? And why might that be? He asked. And she said, because they said it's not good for your image. And he said, that's interesting. He said, what, can I just ask you, he asked her, what kind of experience do you have acting? She said, well, I haven't really done anything yet. So you have no experience, you haven't been in any film? No. You haven't done any theater projects? No. You haven't done any commercials? No. You've taken classes though, right? Yes. But you haven't done any acting work? No. And then he turned to the rest of the class, and then he turned to her with a really stern, solid look. He said, why are you worrying about, he said, this is the problem that a lot of new actors have. Why are you worrying about your image? You don't even have one yet. Why are you worrying about that? Just get out there and get experience. While you're worrying and waiting and wondering whether this is going to be the right thing and whether people are going to like me and whether this is going to be good for my image and everything, other people are out there doing stuff and getting experience. And you're going to find yourself one day, if you keep worrying, you're going to find yourself behind the 8 ball. So stop worrying about your image. You don't even have one yet. You don't even have one. I just thought that was so cool. Anyway, so another thing that holds people back is that there's too much noise. In today's world, there's just too much noise. And when I say noise, I'm talking about telephones, social media, notifications, all that stuff. And if you think about it, and sometimes people will say, well, I don't have time. And I'm like, are you sure that you don't have time to dedicate an hour a day or whatever it is? Because they're either too busy watching TV because there's too many channels and there's too many possibilities. So you start and you flip around. The internet is a killer because you can start out looking for something and get lost because you see an ad come up or something. You got your notifications turned on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and you're too busy worrying about and being distracted by what other people are doing. There's too much noise. Turn the noise off. You don't need your notifications. You don't need that. That's what's holding you back from getting to where you want to get to. You're too busy being up in other people's business. Mind your own business, as they say. Mind your business, not other people's business. You see what I'm saying? Turn off the noise. You don't need that. There are moments when I do turn them on, and there's other moments when I turn them off. When I need to concentrate, I turn off all that stuff. All that stuff, I don't need that now. I turn it off. There are other people who are, when they got the phone, you're in a meeting with somebody or talking to somebody, and every time a message comes through, they have to answer the message. Every time the phone rings, they have to answer the phone. That really bothers me because I'm here, I'm dedicating my time to you, and you're not giving me the same respect because you're too busy on the damn phone. Turn it off. Can't you wait a half an hour? Turn the damn thing off. Anyway, I get heated up when I get it because I know that there's that. And so you don't need the notifications, do you? Why is it so important for you to know what the other guys are doing? It's not that important. That's those 5 minutes that you're flipping around on Facebook, looking at those videos, those beautiful, those really cute animal videos that get the animals that get saved. Those are really, really nice. Or people who are saying, can you dedicate for my birthday? Can you, donate some money to charity? Well, let me go see what that's about. Or you're looking at people's Instagram stories, or you're looking at people's Facebook stories, or you're looking at, you know what I mean? Why is that necessary? You see what I mean? Just get your stuff done. Focus on what you want. Another thing that holds people back is they listen to the wrong people. You're listening. I'm not saying you because I don't know you, but I'm saying people who are struggling or are not finding the time to focus, or they're doing the wrong things because they're getting advice from the wrong people. I have a series of 5 things that I want the people who help me to have. The first thing is you need to be, if I'm going to listen to you, I want to make sure that you have already done what I'm trying to do. I'm not somebody who says they know, not somebody who thinks they know. I want you to have already done it. The second thing is you got to be knowledgeable about it, because if you just fell into this and got lucky, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you have the knowledge to be able to teach me what I need to know to be able to get there myself. So you need to be knowledgeable about the industry. You need to be knowledgeable about what it takes to get there. The third thing is you need to be able to communicate to me in such a way that I can really understand what it is you're talking about and what I need to do to get to where I want to get to. The fourth thing that you need to have is the willingness to help me. So it's easy to find somebody who just, like who'll dedicate 5 minutes to you and tell you, gives you some tips and advice. But if I need more than tips and advice, I need that from somebody who really and genuinely wants to see me succeed. And that could be somebody I have to pay. It could be a mentor, it could be a coach, whatever, but you need to have that characteristic. And then the last thing, the characteristic that person needs to have, it needs to be somebody that I can trust. And that's something that might develop over time. It might be something that you just feel right off the bat. There are little things that'll happen to make you understand whether you can really trust that person or not. But anyway, I need to be able to trust you, right? Then another thing that holds people back is trying to be too perfect. There is no such thing as perfect, okay? There isn't. This is something that I struggled with for a long time. And I'm not going to lie, it still goes through my mind sometimes. And when I find myself getting stuck, I say, Tony, stop it. Just get the damn video out there. Write the article. Just get it out there. Stop trying to tweak it. Just get it out there. And this reminds me of something that I heard from one of my all-time favorite motivational speakers. His name is Les Brown. And Les Brown, I haven't seen him around too much lately, but he's motivated me, he's inspired me, as he's inspired probably millions of people. And I remember one of the things that he said in his book, which I highly recommend, it's called Live Your Dreams. And he said, don't wait until you're ready before you get started. Don't wait until you're ready, because you're never going to be ready. It's never going to be perfect. I remember my first job that I got in Nike, Germany. I had my resume, I spent a lot of time putting this resume together, and I remember I asked 10 different people what they thought about my resume, and everybody had something different to say. And after 10 people, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go with it. Because everybody has something to fix. And I'm saying, you know what, I'm just gonna go with it, and whatever happens, happens. I got the job. But you know what I mean? You're never going to satisfy everybody. You're never going to be perfect. So just go. Just get it out there. I'm working with this guy right now who's teaching me about online marketing. And he said, when you launch your product, stop trying to waste time and trying to tweak it to make sure it's right and perfect and exactly the way you want, because you don't know yet what it's going to be, what the reception is going to be. Just get it out there. People will give you feedback, and then based on that feedback, you make adjustments. All right? So people waste too much time trying to be perfect. Just get the stuff out there. Don't be afraid. Just go. You're going to get some feedback. You're going to get some negative feedback, but that comes with the territory, okay? Another thing that holds people back sometimes is they get results. They do something. They put in a lot of work and a lot of effort. They get results, and the results aren't what they hoped they would be. And so they say, but I only got 5 people to sign up. Yeah, but that's 5 people who are really interested in you. Go with that. Give them what they want, and they'll give you feedback, and maybe they'll help you to figure out what you could do better. Don't give up because you only got 5 people. Those are 5 important people. You're going to deprive those 5 people because you only got 5 of them. You wanted 100, but you only got 5. You see what I mean? I remember when I built my first online business, talking about years ago, and it was based on, Google ads. And I remember I showed this to my mom the first month. I think it was like the second month that I had it up, had the website up. And I made $7 that month. And I showed that to my mom. And she was like, she was a mom like moms do, right? And when I told her, I said, look, I'm making money online. And she said, okay, well, how much did you make? And I was like, I made $7 this month. And she just looked at me like, that's good, Tony. That's good. You know, she was trying to be nice. But see, she didn't see what I saw. I saw the future. I said, I know this is possible. I know I'm going to make more, you know? And then, you know, it wasn't even a year later and I was already making, and this was out without doing anything. It was just having the website up there and putting new content on it. I was making like $1,800 a month. It was just coming in like that, you know? While people were sitting around talking, people were coming in and I was getting paid, you know? And I reminded her about that. I said, I was telling you. She was like, yeah, you were right. And then I was only $1,800. You said, well, but that's not a whole lot. It might be a lot for you. It might not be, but that wasn't the only thing that I was doing. But that was part of what I was doing. And just to show you that, you know, big results usually start with little results. You know, I remember I went to a seminar once, which is something that I do regularly. I'm always trying to learn new stuff. And which is one of the things that probably is another I could have put on this list that holds people back, is because they think they know everything and they keep trying the same stuff over and over and over again. And what you need to do is to go out and get some new information, you know, get fresh information from seminars, from other people who are doing the same thing. That's what you need to do. Anyway, I went to the seminar once and there was this guy named Brendan, and Brendan Brendan Burchard. Brendan has this story that he told about, well, it's actually a metaphor. He said a lot of people dig holes, you know, they'll dig holes, they're looking for something, looking for gold or looking for something, and they dig a hole because they know that it's down there somewhere, it's down in the earth. So they dig a hole, they don't find it, so then they dig another hole, and then they don't find it, and then they dig another hole, and they don't find it, and then they don't dig another hole, and then after a while they have this whole yard full of holes. And he said, and what I do, and that's what he was saying, is what he does, is if I dig and I don't find anything, I keep digging. And if I still don't find it, then I keep digging. So instead of a whole lot of little holes, I might have one or two big holes. You see? And that's what a lot of people don't do. Which brings me to another point, you know, of his, which he said, you know, what happens is, you know, when people get small results or when they try something and it doesn't work, then people get discouraged. He said, I don't get discouraged whenever I dig and I don't find what I'm looking for the first time. I keep digging. I don't get discouraged. I get pissed off because I didn't find what I wanted, and that makes me dig deeper. You know, it's different. It's a mentality thing, right? And that brings me to another point. Another reason why a lot of people don't achieve what they want is because they lack the perseverance. They lack the stay power. They lack the stay with it until they get it. I heard another saying, and I believe it was a guy named Myron Golden who said this. He said, most people aren't willing to be bad at something long enough until they get good at it. I love that saying. And it's true. It's so true. People give up too easy. They don't have perseverance. I live in Italy now for more than 20 years, and Italy has always been in the top 3 or 4 in the world, I believe, of countries, of the amount of people, the percentage of people who play the lottery. Because they're looking for stuff that's easy, you know? They just want the easy win, you know? And a lot of teams, so they'll try something once. If it doesn't work, then, you know, the only thing that I'm not going to say the only thing because that's not true, because the Italians have a lot of really, really good good things, good qualities. It's a great country. It's a beautiful country. But I'm just using this as an example, you know. And there's a lot of other people like this around the world who that's, you know, they bank on that. That's the only thing they're really persevering about, because they want something for nothing. They don't want to work for it. They don't persevere. And then the last thing that so I'm going to look at my list because I just want to make sure that I didn't leave anything out. No, actually, there's another thing. The next to the last thing is that sometimes one of the things that holds people back is that they compare themselves to the wrong people. When you hear, you know, and this happens, and I'm not going to say that because I'm a human being too, but sometimes, you know, I realize I'm conscious of that moment and I get over it. And because otherwise it's going to hold you back. When you hear other people getting results, right? You hear about other people getting results and you're thinking, oh man, why? It's like the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, you know? You hear about other people getting these fantastic results, and some people get demotivated from that, and they're like, oh man, I could never do that, Wow, they're really lucky. I wish I could do that, Don't, you're comparing yourself to the wrong person. Compare yourself to yourself first. See if you're doing the best that you can do. And that will motivate you. Once you start getting results, you might not have what it takes to get there. You might have unrealistic expectations as to the time that it takes for you to get there. Don't worry about that now. That could be a benchmark that you set yourself for, but don't get discouraged by that. You know what I mean? Don't let that get to you. Measure against yourself. Compare against you and what you're doing, what your best is. And try to do that. That's all anybody can ever ask of you, and that's all that you should ever ask of yourself. You look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and ask yourself, have I done everything that I could do to get the result that I'm trying to get? And then the last thing that, which is really, I believe it's really, really crucial. It's so important. And that is one of the things that holds people back from achieving their goals that can have an effect on your subconscious behavior is whether or not you really and honestly and truly believe that you deserve this success. Do you deserve it? And whenever I set goals for myself, I think, you know what? I deserve that. Sure I do. I deserve it. Why not? Other people are getting this. Why shouldn't I be able to? Because I live where I live, because this is the education that I have, because this is the color of my skin, because this is my age, because, what's all that mess about? I deserve this. I work hard for what I do, and I deserve to have what I want. And you should too. So, I wanted to make this video because I see it happen so often. There's so many people that are out there that are just they're not making progress as quickly as they probably could because they're all tangled up in all these 10 things that really do nothing more than just hold you back from achieving your goals. So I hope that was helpful. Stay tuned because I got a lot more where that came from.